Hey there VC, it's Mark here. I'm going to do an update video. I'm long overdue for doing one, and I've been buying a lot of records lately, too many, and just wanted to share some of the ones that I purchased. I'm not going to show everything. Like I said, I bought quite a few records. The ones that I've really been digging though. First off, in the background, Steppenwolf Live, Gatefold album. And in my mind, it's one of the greatest live albums ever. It's just a great snapshot of Steppenwolf's career, their biggest, meaning the era where they were most popular and some of their biggest hits. Mike in Portsea, I believe is his YouTube name. Also Mike's Final Vinyl. He uploaded a video showing some Steppenwolf finds that he had acquired, and I thought that the live one was really cool. So he said, well, the store that he shops at had a couple more copies available. So if I wanted one, he'd gladly send one to me. So here it is. A little bit of ring wear. It doesn't bother me too much, but the vinyl is really pristine. So very happy about that. Next up is an album I've been wanting for a long time, and it's always eluded me. I've been a big Ramones fan for, geez, since probably 1980, and finding this album, like, it's always been something that's been like a constant quest, and finally I got myself a copy. Pressed in London. It's the Ramones, It's Alive, and I've seen Pudsey and also brought from Boston, Phoenix 1960. I have this album as well. I'm sure many others do as well. Those are the two people that come to mind. And it highlights or showcases their first three albums done live, being Ramones, Rocket to Russia, and the Ramones Leave Home. Just an awesome album. Very intense. All the way through. You know, there's no breaks between the songs basically, except for 1, 2, 3, 4. Dee Ramone usually starts the tunes off with the 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a great record, and finally I got it in my collection. Some other Ramones albums, or not albums, but 12-inch singles that I picked up just recently. I've never seen them up until about 3 weeks ago. I never knew they even existed. And they're all UK pressings as well. And we have the Ramones, Somebody Put Something in My Drink and Can't Say Anything Nice on the one side. And the flip side is Something to Believe in. Next one, great picture of Ronald Reagan on the front there. Bonzo Goes to Bitburg. And on the flip side is Go Home Anne and Daytime Dilemma. Next one, I am missing the album, the Ramones album called Halfway to Insanity. I used to own it. It's gone. Looking for another copy of it. The song Real Cool Time is from that album. It's not one of their better albums, but still, being a Ramones fan as I am, I like to get another copy of it. So if anybody out there knows where I can get a copy of Halfway to Insanity, that would be great. Or Halfway to Sanity, I'm not sure. Insanity or Sanity, one or the other. So this has Real Cool Time, and on the flip side, Life Goes On and Indian Giver. And the last Ramones 12-inch single is I Wanna Live, and an extended version of Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight. So that's Ramones. Another album I was thrilled to get. When I met Dr. Deadwax in Hamilton a few weeks back, we managed to hit a couple record stores, but really didn't pick up much. I picked up 2 albums, he picked up a couple albums. But the one I picked up that I was really excited. Next up is an album that I'm really excited about when I first saw it in the record shop. When I met with Dr. Deadwax about a month ago now, we did manage to hit a couple record stores. Didn't have a lot of time to do shopping. I picked up a couple records, and so did he. And the one album I picked up was this one here, and Rush, the first American broadcast, ABC, Agora Ballroom, Cleveland, Ohio, in 1974. Now Rush were still, at this time when this was recorded, were still quite an unknown band, especially in, in Canada, really. They were more well known in Cleveland, Ohio than any place else. Cleveland were the first ones to put their songs on the air, mainly the song Working Man off their first album, and received extensive airplay, and that really helped boost Rush's career in the early stages. And at the time that they recorded that album, Neil Peart was not part of the band, it was John Rutsey. And what's really kind of cool about this record is Neil Peart had just joined the band. So this album was recorded, and like I said, it's mainly Rush's first album that's on here, the songs. And John Rutsey's no longer part of the band. Neil Peart had just started the band, and so it's kind of a cool document to the Rush that we know today, and how they sounded back in 1974. Sound quality wise, it has its moments where it's not so great, but overall I think the sound quality is pretty good. It was originally released as a bootleg album, available only on CD, and I don't know how much remastering has gone into it, but it does sound pretty good. Like for a bootleg record, it sounds really, really good. And it really does capture Rush at as they sounded back in the day, and very, very happy to get this. So great album, highly recommended. Next up, I've become somewhat of a fan of Chicago's earlier albums. This is their earliest one, the Chicago Transit Authority. And again, it's a two record set, as most of their early albums were. And what I like about early Chicago is that it's very jazz based, for one. It's not like your top 40 hits like they became later on in the 80s with, like, songs like Baby What a Big Surprise and If You Leave Me Now, stuff like that. Their songs were very, I would say, progressive and different kind of sound what other bands had at that time. I think the only band I could compare with them was like Blood, Sweat and Tears, because they were both kind of horn bands, but or had horns in their band anyway. Chicago, though, to me, took more risks with experimentation, and this record really has a wide variety of music styles in it, and from very quiet to very rock. Like Terry Kath is an excellent guitar, or he was an excellent guitarist, and vocalist as well. And where you think the album's getting a little bit too, too soft and too quiet, Terry Kath would come on and do an amazing guitar solo and just remind you what a great rocker that he used to be. So again, this is an album that I never really seeked out when I was younger. I like Chicago. I've always kind of liked Chicago for a long time, but this album really makes me appreciate what they were really all about, especially when they first started. And I'm not sure exactly what year this is, but probably around 1970, somewhere in there. And very glad to get it. I've been kind of collecting the early Chicago stuff, missing a few of the albums still, but I was really happy to get that one. Next up is an album that's called Mudcrutch. And for those of you who don't know who Mudcrutch Next up is a band that you may or may not have heard of before. I didn't know the name of the band before probably about a month or 2 months ago. And before Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers became that, Tom Petty, Mike Campbell, and Ben Montench were part of another band in the very early 70s called Mudcrutch. And besides them, there was 2 or 3 other members as well. And they produced some music that really didn't go very far, and they weren't around for very long. When they disbanded, then Tom Petty and the other 2 went on to form Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. But in 2008, Tom Petty decided to reunite all the original members of Mudcrutch, and they produced this album. And it's a 2-record set, 180 gram vinyl, and it's a collection of some very cool tunes. The songs are more, I would say, more country rock, some of them are more folk related. Very, it's hard to really describe. It's more like very easy. It's not easy listening, but it's. I guess it's just more of a very laid-back feel, and music is very easy to listen to. Very loose is the word I'm looking for. These were guys who were all very good friends, best friends for many, many years, and when they recorded this album, it was just done in a matter of days. Made in 10 days, it says on the back here. And you can tell it's just a bunch of guys getting back together and having a great time. And it really adds to the feel of the record. It's a very, like I said, very loose, very easy to listen to, and the songs on here are very cool as well. And Tom Petty does share lead vocals with one of the original members is Tom Leadon, who was Bernie Leadon, who was formerly of the Eagles, his brother. And the other musician who is the original member of Mudcrutch is Randall Marsh, who plays drums. And then Ben Montench is on piano and organ, and Ben Montench does lead vocal on one of the tunes as well. So it's not an album that's all about Tom Petty. It really is a shared effort, and it comes through the music. And I really like this record. I've had it now for a while. I've listened to it several times, and didn't even know it existed up until a little while ago. But if you're a Tom Petty fan, I highly recommend this record as well. Great stuff. Been getting into a lot of Neil Young lately, and trying to get my collection up. I've been lacking in Neil Young records. So what I'm going to show you here, I've managed to find this record, After the Gold Rush. I found it on the web. It was advertised as being like new, but what I didn't realize when I got it was still sealed. Not an original pressing though. It's got the barcode on it. Made in Germany, and it was pressed somewhere in the 80s. I guess, I'm not sure. But just a great record. Neil Young is his best. Just some great stuff on here. More recent pressing more recent record is one of Neil Young's Archives Performance Series records, which is the Massey Hall 1971. Double album, 180 grams, and just some great stuff that, I'm glad that these archive pressings are coming out now, because there's a lot of really cool stuff that Neil recorded live that just hasn't been available up until now, and this is one of those records. It's just fantastic. It's a gatefold as well, and it's got like a newspaper article on one side and a picture on the other. Very cool. Good picture in there. Really glad to get that one. Probably one of Neil's most acclaimed albums ever is Tonight's the Night. I've never owned this, and a very personal album by Neil Young, and Another Neil Young album I've never owned. Tonight's the Night. Finally got myself a copy. It's a German pressing again. And gatefold, of course. I think this is, I'm not sure if it's an original pressing, but it would be close to it. The cover does have a little bit of wear, but the vinyl is very pristine. And it's probably one of the most personal albums that Neil Young's ever put out. And because of that, the songs are just extremely hard-hitting and emotional. It's just a great record all the way around. I'm sure anybody who's from Neil Young would agree that this is probably his best, if not in his top 5 albums that he's ever put out. So I thought that was kind of a great score. And lastly, I have another Neil Young album. Taking me a while to get used to this one, though. It's a little different. And Neil Young Trans. And Neil Young has ventured in many things. He ventured into rockabilly with Everybody's Rockin'. He went country with Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings on Old Ways. And on this one here, he's gone electronic. And the first tune is pretty good that I heard. A Little Thing Called Love. Sample and Hold's not bad either, but some of the other songs on here, his voice is going through some kind of electrical vocoder or something. It's changing his voice drastically, and it gets a little getting used to. So it's taken me a while to warm up to this one, but being Neil Young, I had to get it. So, oh, I got one more to show you too. It's over here. And not a huge Kiss fan. I do like some of their stuff, but the album cover on this was kind of cool, so I had to grab it. And it's classic Kiss regrooved. Kiss My Ass is called. And it's got it's all covers of Kiss songs. And I have to say my favorite song on here is by a country and western singer. Famous country singer is Garth Brooks, and he does a fantastic version of Hard Luck Woman. You would swear that it's Peter Criss singing almost. Like it's so close, but you can tell it's got a little bit of Garth's voice to it, and it's cool on red vinyl. I kind of like the picture. The picture on the front cover was what I thought kind of drew me to it. And it's a gatefold as well, so it's got the lyrics to all the songs. It's okay. It's not one of my all-time favorite albums, but it's on red vinyl. I had to have it. So that's basically it for my update. I hope everybody's doing well, and I just wanted to do one quick shout out to somebody who's just rejoined our vinyl community after being away for more than a year, and that's Long Lost LP Man. Really good to see you back. Looking forward to your upcoming videos, be it on vinyl or CD, it doesn't matter. Music's the most important thing, and you were an inspiration to me earlier on. And one of the, you know, to me I consider you one of the founders of the vinyl community. You were around kind of in the early days, and it's just great to see you back. So take care, and I'll talk to you guys later.